Today we're going to have our weekly strategy roundtable where we talk about current market conditions. We'll discuss earnings. I think 30% of S&P 500 earnings companies will announce earnings this week, especially the 5 out of the 7 magnificent 7 stocks that are worth trillions of dollars. So that usually creates momentum in the market. So we'll analyze those stocks and talk about interest rates, oil prices, geopolitical risks, and what to expect next. I'll try to do a 30-minute presentation, and then at the end, answer any questions you might have. So if you have any questions, please type them in. I want to make sure that I do answer them before we leave. For those of you who are new, welcome. This is my brief bio. I was Executive Vice President and Head of Technology at Options Express. Options Express was an online broker-dealer. My background is in technology. I have a master's degree in computer science and worked on several fintech startups here in Chicago. Some of them are broker-dealers, some of them are hedge funds. When the Options Express went public, I decided to manage my own money and started TradeSpoon and Yellow Tunnel in 2012. So it's been 14 years. I've been managing my own money over 20 years. We have a team of financial engineers that are building models using latest advances in AI, provide signals. So, and you can subscribe to these signals, and we can also, we provide subscription for the signals, and we also trade them in live trading when we have 2 sessions. And Keith Harwood joined from Options Hotline about 2 years ago, and he brings a lot of depth and knowledge in options trading, futures trading. He used to be on the floor exchange. He worked for hedge funds. So we bring a lot of knowledge and education and technology that can help you navigate current market volatility. Disclosures are very important. Please read them. Trading stock and options involve risk. Not suitable for everyone. You must be aware of the risk and be willing to accept them in order to invest in current market conditions. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not registered with FINRA nor SEC. I'm showing you what I do in my own account based on my own risk tolerance level for general education information purposes only. All right, before we jump into trading psychology, let's talk about current market conditions and earnings. So looking at the spiders, you can see market continues to see an uptrend, right? That we can reach as high as 750 level in the next 3 months. So by end of July, if we get to the 750, 764 level, I would not be surprised. Short term, it still sees an uptrend that we can get to 724 level. For the months of April, it doesn't see momentum, and May. For the months of May and April, it doesn't see a lot of momentum outside of the 705 level. So there are 2 outcomes could be. One is that we are in the process of digestion of earnings, right? And I would look at the interest rates as well, right? So on one hand, we're above 7,000. If you were in my previous few weeks when we were below 7,000, right? I always said that 7,000 is a large overhead resistance. It'll be difficult to break it, but we broke above 7,000 for the past 2 weeks, right? Almost 2 weeks, and we're continuing to trade above 7,000. So 7,000 is a very important support level, right? You can see it here. As long as we're trading above 7,000, 69.50, bulls are in control, positive gamma, right? Dealers are gonna buy at these levels. And then we have interest rates, right? Primarily driven by, at this point, by not the new Fed chair. It's probably going to be tomorrow's Powell's probably last press conference, but crude oil prices, right? So the crude oil prices and the Brent is close to multi-year highs, right? At 114. During the escalation of the war in the Middle East, we hit 115. We're almost there again. So the crude oil prices, the gasoline made new high today. Actually, gasoline prices are continue to go higher, and that's pushing the interest rates higher. We're above 430. Next level could be, again, just like oil prices, retesting the highs of the war, with the fear of the inflation, right? That the interest rates are going to continue going higher. So you can have a situation where, for a very long time, for a prolonged period of time, where technology is moving, trading higher, semiconductors trading higher, and oil prices are going higher. So either the semiconductor is going to continue to trade lower, right, and kind of pull back, or we're going to have oil prices pull back. And for now, it's a stalemate, right? There's no clarity when the Strait of Hormuz will be open. So the main leaders are semiconductors. You have kind of this, one of the longest 18 trading session where it will continue going higher. Now it's pulling back. Equal weighted S&P value stocks are not really going anywhere. Equal weighted pull back more. Value stocks trading in the same level, right around 200 level. So not going anywhere for the past couple weeks or even a month. And still underperforming technology, right? So the main movement were in technology. Small caps made marginal new high too. So small caps did break out. Mid cap, I think, broke out as well, right? From the recent highs, now mid cap is actually pulling back. So the question is, what's going to happen next, right? And we do have earnings from Apple. Google is announcing earnings. Google is retesting, made marginal new highs. Apple still trading in downtrend. Apple announcing earnings. Meta is still trading in a downtrend. Maybe if I connect these lines. Definitely had a strong rebound from March lows. Amazon is doing well. It actually made new highs, right? So the question is data centers, right? Cloud computing, and is the investment into the data centers and infrastructure, right? CapEx, does it justify the revenue? And in case of Amazon, it seems like traders are very optimistic. You have the sharp rally from 200 to 260 in a very short period of time, trading almost at all-time high. Nvidia made new highs. It's not announced in earnings, but it did make new highs. And Tesla did announce earnings, and so far the results are underwhelming, right? I think they beat the analyst estimates, but they are increasing their CapEx in the data center and infrastructure cost, and that's AI investments. And the street didn't really, so far negative reaction, right? So far it's negative reaction to the Tesla news. Microsoft also trading in downtrend. It's outperforming today going into the earnings, but nonetheless it's still pretty weak price pattern. So a lot of the next move is going to depend on mostly is oil prices and earnings, right? Earnings in these 7 names. So in terms of positioning, I looked at Microsoft. You can see very large open interest at 400 level, right? So if you look at the bar chart data and you do the estimated move analysis, right? One standard deviation basically says, right? So people are buying 400 strike. So you can see 33,000 contracts are trading at 400 level. So if you look at the Microsoft, and the idea is that will the 50-day moving average, will this 400 level hold? It did break above that level, 400. It's trading at 427, and there's a lot of support at the 400 strike. So I think it does also selling a put spread makes sense in Microsoft. Mostly, I think the numbers will be strong in terms of the data center and the Azure investment. The question is, how much are they investing into the data center? Is it going to be more or less, like Tesla announced? And how it will impact the cash flow, and does the revenue support that cash flow? Because in general, software names have been under pressure, right? They're unable to break out of this overhead resistance around 90 strike. They did pull back after ServiceNow announcement, right? ServiceNow made 2 standard deviation move to the downside, IBM also. So software names are still under pressure, and IBM also sold off with the idea that their credit, right? A lot of issues with the private credit, that investors are concerned of all the money being moved out of the private equity, and a lot of the financing has been in AI, right? And you know, are these companies going to be solvent, and is there a systemic risk in some of these software names? So that's the other concern, right? That not only how much you're spending, but you know, your credit ratings, and will the company be able, will these software companies be able to pay their debt? You know, in case of Microsoft and Magnificent Seven, you know, I don't think people are concerned, but ServiceNow, people are definitely concerned, maybe, or even Oracle, right, which is not a small company, but you can still see this. It's been trading, you know, for almost a year in a very strong downtrend market. So earnings this week are definitely going to impact that. I do like Microsoft out of the software names. The fact that it's, you know, outperforming today in the down market is also, together with Apple, I think is positive. But again, very hard to predict earnings. My inclination, you sell the put spread, 400 put spread, and maybe use that premium, right? Use the premium from selling 400 405 or 400 395 put spread. You can see it here. Let's see. I went through Microsoft. Right, if you look at the 400 level, you can definitely see very high open interest, right? Highest open interest, and one of the highest volume is in 400. So a lot of people are trading the 400 strike. And in terms of the call level, you have a lot of open interest 460 and 480 level, right? So 460 and 480. So you can, some people go to monthly. You can go to monthly and build it. You can see 475, 480 is a very large open interest. So you can say 450 and then 480. So $5.20. You can do a $25 spread and use $5.20 to buy this, right? You can go to May, or you can go, this is May 15, May expiration. You can go to June expiration, and then you would use the proceeds from the 400 call if you do the same months. Maybe sell 400 and buy 390, and then you're only gonna spend $2.93. So you're using proceeds from the put spread if you're bullish on Microsoft, right? And you can look at the positioning data and sentiment data. So Microsoft short-term is an uptrend, mid-term is an uptrend, long-term it's still kind of in downtrend, right? But short-term and medium-term, it is picking up. And in terms of put-to-call ratio, let's see how people are positioned into the earnings. You can see almost 3-to-1 call-to-put ratio, right? So in terms of positioning, prospect theory is important, and game theory is important, right? It's important to see the positioning data and what other people think. So you can see May 1st has a lot of positioning, right? 263,000 contracts. So ratio of almost 3-to-1, 2-to-1 ratio in May, 2-to-1 ratio in May. So it's very position very bullish because they are, Anthropic making announcements, ChatGPT is making announcement, and in general, agentic AI, right? Every company, including Yellow Tunnel, small, mid-size, or large, invest into building these bots, right? And investing into AI. So you can ask any question, it will answer. It can learn on all the documents that Yellow Tunnel provides and all of the customer service questions, and make an inference and teach Yellow Tunnel subscribers how to place a spread, or what services we offer. And every time you ask a question, either Microsoft or Tesla are making profits, right? Because you have to pay for the tokens, right? So that's the next wave of the AI story, right? First, you build the data centers, you build inference engine, you build learning engines, and now how can the adoption phase? How many companies and how long will it take to adopt this? So, and at what cost, right? So obviously, majority of the people, you can tell by the positioning data and by the options data position bullish. So I'm bullish on Microsoft as well. I'm going back to game theory. I'm not gonna have a different opinion. I'm gonna go with the crowd, right? And one way to do this is you look at Microsoft positioning data. And right now, based on the implied volatility move, right? And in the historical move, it's about 6% move, right? If you look at the expected move for Microsoft, it moved, as much as 7% higher, down 9%, and anywhere in between, right? So expectation right now is 6% move to the upside and to the downside. So if you don't think it's going to move 10% to the downside again, like majority of the people, then selling the put spread at 400 level makes sense to me. And you can look at a similar setup for, Google is probably one of the most bullish. Let's see what the Google put call ratio is. They're investing in data centers, they invest into their models and Gemini, and be able to call Gemini and use it inside of your applications, right? Not as bullish as Microsoft, but still pretty bullish, 2-to-1. Both in May expiration, May 1st, and also in June is actually equal. So people are bullish on Microsoft, people are bullish on Google. Let's see, I assume they're less bullish on Apple. Don't know if they have a clear answer for the AI. Actually, 2-to-1. Put call ratio, here it's pretty equal with the next May expiration. Pretty bullish, almost 2-to-1 in May monthly expiration, and June expiration is also 2-to-1. So pretty bullish setup for Apple, and you can follow the same analogy for Amazon. I assume most people are bullish on Amazon. So if you if you're gonna follow the crowd, and same thing with Amazon, very bullish position, almost 2-to-1 on weekly expiration, and May monthly expiration almost 2-to-1, and even June is highly bullish. So people are So if you're bullish on these names, then the one way to do this, you can sell a put spread, right? Receive the credit and finance call spread, right? Finance your view on the calls side that the stocks will continue going higher. Any questions? A lot of people. Abraham, Alan, Chuck, Martin, Peter, Ray, Rodney, Ron, Tim, Tony. Any questions? All right, so my personal opinion, again, just to recap, because a lot of people joined a little bit later, is that SPX is still trading in uptrend. I think the pullbacks will be shallow. I mean, it makes sense that people are taking profit going into the earnings week. It makes sense that people taking profit when there's escalation in Middle East or interest rates are going higher. But I think with the new chairman, Fed chair, even though market could be volatile, I still think the path of least resistance based on our model is to continue going higher. And by end of July, 750, 760, I think makes sense. Not a one-way trade. I assume there will be pullbacks like today, maybe even further. Today we're down almost 1%. We could be down 3%, maybe even 5%. But this would be a buying opportunity because the earnings season is still strong and there's a very strong momentum from the recent lows. So that's my opinion. I would be a buyer into pullbacks like today. And keep an eye on earnings, right? This week we'll determine, plus, we'll see if the new Fed chair, Hirsch, will be nominated, right? Approved by the Senate, the new, it's not Hirsch, Warsh. Probably mispronounced his last name, but the new Fed chair, Powell's tomorrow, I think, is his last. Probably, if the new Fed chair gets approved by the Senate, then this will be the last Powell's press conference as the Fed chair, that's my analysis of the earnings. So on one hand, I'm optimistic that they will beat their top line and bottom line. One of my concerns is, for example, like Tesla, it beat estimates, but Street did not like that they're increasing their CapEx expenditure. And I assume similar stories will be in all the 5 stocks that are announcing today. The question is revenue versus expenses and how people are going to react to it. But you can see majority of the people are positioned extremely bullish with the idea that this rally can continue. Any questions? So again, one thing that we cover in live trading room extensively, the dichotomy of control. The idea is that concentrating on things that are within your control. It's very hard to predict, is Microsoft going to go up 5% or down 5%? You can trade with the crowd with the assumption that it's going to go up 5%, but that's the estimated move analysis, 5 to 6%. But if they're spending too much money on the data centers or their Azure revenue is not growing exponentially or re-accelerating, then market could pull back. So for that reason, concentrate on things that are within your control, right? Such as a positive, negative visualization. Concentrating, I think, on having solid trading plan and trading journal. In live trading room, we talk about trading plan. Risk management is very important. Going through positive and negative visualizations, right? On one hand, I think we can go to 750 on SPX, 7,500, but we could also pull back to 6,900, 6,800. The question is, how much exposure do you have in your positions, and how much risk you're willing to take? To avoid fight or flight response, right? We talked about game theory, looking at the positioning data and how other people thinking about Microsoft earnings, Amazon, Google earnings. Remember, it's all about compounding investments, setting well-defined goals, easily achievable goals, And depending if you're looking for full-time income or part-time income, this could be 1% a week, it could be 1% a month, it could be 1% a day. Just depends on how much risk you're willing to take and how often you're trading, right? And cash is important. Post 30% of your portfolio to be in cash. We are going to do earnings. I'm going to do earnings on Google and maybe even Microsoft. We'll start tomorrow, and you can always join. We do have Earnings Power Trader on Yellow Tunnel. Right, the Earnings Power Trader is where I trade these names. So if you want to see actually what I trade, probably going to do Google and Microsoft. Then you can sign up and participate and see the trades. We also have Aggressive Power Trader, where if you want to see the results of our models, this model Aggressive Power Trader runs every day. You can see history of all the signals. For example, today we have AMAT, we have Schlumberger Energy, Volatile Group. So every day you get signals. There's a history of signals, and then you can make a decision which of these signals you want to trade. We have recordings of all the live trading rooms, all the workshops gets recorded here. You can watch them here, and you can analyze your own stock, right? If you want to see what the view is on Amazon, you can click Amazon, click on Analyze, and it will tell you support level, resistance level, predicted, right? These numbers gets updated every day. So you can see at 258, Amazon is probably oversold. And if you're short-term aggressive trader, maybe this is an opportunity to go long, right? And you can see a longer-term trend as well on Amazon. Any other questions? I do encourage you to contact us. Keith can help you with trading plan and trading journal, how to keep a journal, trading plan, or answer any questions about Yellow Tunnel. Keith, is an experienced trader. He's been trading for close to 20, 25 years. So you can schedule an appointment or consultation. It's free of charge. It doesn't cost you anything. So I'll drop that here. Inside of the questions, you can see the link to talk to Keith. And also, if you don't have time to trade and you wanted to auto trade these signals, we do have marketing relationship with Vanguard, which is was disclosed. So you can look at the wrong link. Trade that. So you can open up an account at Vanguard. You can call them, and if you're interested to auto-execute some of these signals that I trade in a live trading room through Dynamic Power Trader or Earnings Power Trader, then you can sign up with Vanguard, and then when I trade Microsoft, Google, in Earnings Power Trader or Dynamic Power Trader, you will be, if you sign this full letter of direction, then the brokers will be able to place the trades on your behalf as well. So that's something to also consider. All right, any other questions? All right, you guys been awesome. Thank you very much. Keep an eye on, we have Fed interest rate decision tomorrow, and then the technology names will announce earnings, Wednesday, close, Thursday. So it's an important week in terms of, direction going forward. Thank you very much and have a great day. All right, Abraham, thank you. Ron, thank you. Alan, Chuck, Peter, Ray, Rodney, Ron, Tim, Tony. Thank you very much and have a great day.